Hey, this is Notser, and today we're taking a look at the Tier 4 Soviet Battleship Gangut. We're on the map Fault Lines, and how does this stack up? Obviously, we've covered a lot of Soviet battleships in the past, most recent one being the Tier 3, and that was deemed, completely broken, because not only did it have crazy bow and stern armor, but it also had super accurate guns, like ridiculously broken accurate guns compared to the competition. Now, how does the Tier 4 stack up to that? Well, instead of 10 305mm guns, it has 12 on 4 gun turrets. They're all center aligned, so you should theoretically be able to engage all your guns, port or starboard. It also has excessive armor at the bow and the stern. We're talking 100 to 120, 130 millimeters of armor at the bow and stern. What does that allow you to do? It allows you to basically absorb all high explosive, all armor piercing, if you commit to a bow position. Obviously, that's incredibly powerful. Now, one thing that you might notice as we are rotating our guns starboard to port is they are staggered. Gun number 1 and 3 will rotate forward. Gun 2 and 4 rotate to the rear. And because of that, they sort of work against each other. You can't do something like the Nelson or the Lenin where all of your guns are on the nose, and if you go port to starboard, it's very easy for all of them to rotate. No, that's not the case, unfortunately. But you've got 12 305mm guns, and these are definitely Soviet guns. So we're going to try and engage this Furutaka. I'm allowing my other guns to rotate, slowly of course. This Furutaka, we're just going to aim at the waterline, and I'm hoping to kill him before he kills the friendly. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen, and unfortunately, we actually don't kill him, and he actually goes behind the island. And I hope the T-22 could take him out. Yes, the T-22 does take him out. Good. Look at the deploy of the enemy team. They are all grouped up on the northeast side of the map. That's one of the disadvantages of the Soviet battleships, is the range of the guns. They don't have the kind of impact over the map, and unlike the American battleships, you cannot extend that range. They have to deal with the same accuracy module in slot 3 as everyone else, and you have to work with the range you've got. But look at the concealment. 9.3 kilometer concealment with 100 plus millimeters of armor in the bow and the stern, plus incredibly accurate guns. Of course, it's incredibly broken. It's not quite broken, though, in the AA game. So, obviously, this is a dual CV game. If he wanted to attack me, he honestly could be pretty successful. I will actively maneuver, of course. I don't want him to be able to take me out. But my AA range is incredibly limited. It is absolutely one of the weak points on the Soviet battleships as a large, but it's especially present down here. They just don't have the AA to defend themselves. And I expect that once players understand that, that will be one of the weak points that these guys have to deal with. Having said all that, though, I would not choose anything else, because the gun accuracy is what wins games. Now, I fully expect that the Tier 3 and the Tier 4 will receive some type of nerf. They just are too effective. They're too easily effective. Like, you're not trying to work too hard. Yeah, the range thing sucks, but, I mean, basically when you're in range of a target, a reasonable target, you have just as much pen as you need, perfect accuracy. It really is very easy to be successful with these battleships because of that whole, like, you move forward and you gain accuracy. That's a really big, powerful feeling. And it doesn't happen at the same rate for any other battleship line. So, I'm attempting to try and engage these guys. Obviously, they are behind islands and out of range, so I don't have the best shots on them, but I'm going to move forward towards the center. I'm going to try and rely on some of these islands that are just south of their capture point to mitigate most of the enemy's potential damage towards my target. Obviously, we're going to do as best as we can, but this also has a tall citadel. So it might take a citadel from an odd angle if the enemy is successful. Obviously, I don't want that, but it is absolutely a possibility, so I have to be careful. Plus, we're not top tier here, so just going to play it out correctly. This enemy Phoenix, he's a low health cruiser that seems to be moving away. I can easily pin him, but unfortunately, he is playing very smartly. He's actually playing with his throttle, and we are mitigating some of that damage from the enemy Congo, which is good. And obviously, once the Congo fired all his guns, plus he's going behind the island, we will be able to line of sight each other. Now, I could decide to go forward, but one of the strengths of the Soviet battleships is the bow armor. It is not the side armor. Whenever you have this situation, you want to try and protect the weak point. And using this island to protect it is a great tool. And that's one of the things that the Soviets hopefully will encourage with their excessive armor in certain positions. If you can set up a good, solid position, you can theoretically mitigate a ton of damage and eventually weather it to the point where you've probably outlasted the enemy. That's one of those just really cool aspects of the whole Soviet battleship line, and that's absolutely here. So we are slowly approaching the center, and I'm going to start working on the Phoenix, who is incredibly slow. There's also a New York, and the reason I fired off my second salvo, because of my positioning, that smokestack is in the way of my number 2 gun. I would have to widen my stance a little bit. That is kind of a weak point of the ship versus the later tier Soviet battleships. In order to do a significant percentage of their damage, they would have to angle and allow for enemies to potentially punish. And this is an issue that's existed with the Nikolai, the Leon. These ships are very effective, very powerful, but they require that you consider angling. So it's a risk versus reward type scenario sometimes. But we've got this Congo. Congo's Superfast Battleship. It quite literally is a fast battleship, and it's moving forward rapidly. And I have his broadside, so I don't really like what I'm seeing in the forward position, northern side. So I instead go broadside and I fire everything at the Congo. Unfortunately, I missed the location. We hit the water, just barely. Only 3 shells made contact. That was pathetic. That was exactly what I didn't want to do. And I'm concerned that this Wyoming plus the Congo could be engaging me. Remember, the Congo has terrible turret traverse. The Gangut, the turret traverse isn't terrible. It's not 60 seconds, but it's like in the 45-second range. Obviously, expert marksman helps. But this is not in the 30-second. So you're not going to actively go port to starboard, starboard to port. That's just not the play style of the ship, but it, mitigates. And we do almost nothing to the Congo, unfortunately. It's a really awkward position because the enemy is playing so well, but the New York gets a huge damaging salvo on the enemy Congo. That's a big take. Enemy aircraft carrier still trying to attack me with his last squadron. Of course, all I'm going to try and do is just mitigate a little bit of it. I mean, what else can I do? My AA is garbage. Literal garbage. Firing on the enemy Wyoming, knocking out some guns, incapacitating them. We pinned a lot, but we didn't do too much damage. That just means that his guns are weakened. And oh no, the Wakeful didn't want to see this guy. I am going to throw it in full acceleration, full forward, and we definitely want to kill him before he torpedoes or drops off detection. Enemy aircraft carrier still going after us, but that's okay. And I did not lead the target enough with that salvo. And then I let him too much. Oh, man. So very annoying. I needed to aim better. That's all. No one's mistake except my own. And now he's popped smoke, so I can't help the friendly New York. While all that's going on, Emile Bertin is pushing forward, and he's got torps. I wanted to keep this island in between myself and his ship, and you know what? If this New York wants to take damage while his teammates don't, I'm fine with that. I could also just sail forward, but that would risk the ship. So I don't want to do that. I want to try and wear down some of the remaining enemies. And of course, only 3 penetrate the ship. He gets a double fire on us. I can't believe light cruisers that just get double fires with basically what it ends up being like a salvo and a half. So I'm going to use my super special damage control, limited damage control. This New York is flooding out, and he's got a full broadside AP, but I'm a Soviet battleship. I'm not worried at all. He does nothing to me in this position. I mean, absolutely nothing to me. The only thing he does is he incapacitates my number 3 gun turret, which can't fire on him anyway from this position. So, looks like it didn't cause a flood. My guns are almost reloaded. Friendly is looking to torpedo. Yeah, I think Alaska will get the torpedo off. So I'm either going to engage Emil or the Phoenix. And it's really on whether my teammate was successful, and I don't think he was. So on comms, he's like, hey, you know, deal with this. Of course I'll deal with it. See you later, New York. Let's move on. Yep, Emil, I knew you were right there. Obviously, I'm rotating around. I gotta be careful of torpedoes. And he has no armor, so I just have to hit the shots. And of course we hit the shots, and oh, here comes torpedoes. But I think our speed actually is, yeah, we're fine. Totally fine. Aim at the waterline citadel, knock him out. This side should have torps too. It does have torps. Oh, we actually hit the water. We don't actually hit the ship itself. And oh my goodness, we're taking so much damage. But let's just focus on one target at a time. Finish off this guy broadside. Alright, there we go. A little excessive in the salvos, but we finished the target off. My next number 1 front gun salvo, I'm going to choose to fire on the enemy Wakeful, of course. And we're going to give plenty of lead here. Knock him out as well. Very nice. While this is going on, I'm trying to keep good armor to the enemy. It's not quite good enough, though. The Wyoming can penetrate and stick in the ship. That is one of the weaknesses of excessive bow armor. If you're broadside and he gets a shell to penetrate, it's going to stick in the ship. It's not going to overpin at all. And yeah, keep my armor against the excessively large gun caliber of the Wyoming or the light cruiser. It's going to be the excessive armor of the enemy battleship. And we take about 3,000 damage in that salvo. Not bad. Honestly, it could have been a lot worse, but I have to live for 20 seconds with 3,000. So we fire broadside, and oh, yes. We got the double citadel. We needed that. If I didn't get the double citadel, I probably would have been dying there. But honestly, there's not a lot of superstructure that he could punish anyway. I just had to maintain good, solid bow armor for the next salvo, and probably could live long enough to heal. Regardless, he's dead, and I'm positioning my guns on my starboard side, of course, repositioning to engage the Phoenix. We just took a little bit of dive bomb, but we should easily be able to finish him as long as I don't lead him too much. Friendly gets a bomb again, and we finish off the target, and that's the way that game ended. So, yeah, the Tier 4 Soviet battleship, it's pretty effective, pretty accurate. It's less so when it's down-tiered, but it's still broken. I mean, 5... We got a Kraken Unleashed as a Tier 4 and a Tier 5 game. Yeah, it's still ridiculously powerful, and it probably needs to be dialed back just as the Tier 3. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.